I'm here today to do my October read. I'm doing it a little bit early, so I'm probably going to finish one more book. But currently I have finished reading 9 books, and I listened to one. But it's probably going to be 11 because I'm probably going to finish this last book before Tuesday. But the first book I read was The Guide to Valhalla by Rick Riordan. Now, this book is like a companion book to the Gods of Asgard series with Magnum Chase, and this book is written as if it's being given to an occupant of the Hotel Valhalla. So it gives you like a little bit of background information. It gives you a little bit of teases for the next book, the Hammer of Thor, which is the second book in the God of Asgard series. It was cute. I really liked it. I loved all the interviews and stuff. And for little kids, I think it gives them a lot of background information about regular Norse mythology, and I thought it was super cute. But I do recommend if you're gonna read Hammer of Thor, you might want to reread Sword of Summer, because I don't think it gave such a very intense recap. And for these books, you kind of need to go in with an intense recap, and I will go into that when I tell you that I reread Sword of Summer. But I really, really liked it, and I overall super enjoyed it, and I'm so excited to actually start reading Hammer of Thor. In the next book, in no surprise, I actually was able to finally finish reading Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling. I started actually reading this book in July. But it takes me so long because as the books get longer, it's like a more chapters and more time to actually listen. So I actually am waiting until tonight. I think I'm going to actually sit down and I'm going to watch the Goblet of Fire movie. And then I'm going to start hopefully reading The Order of the Phoenix starting this week. It's going to take me a long time. I hope to finish it by Christmas. That might not even happen. My goal was to finish reading this entire series in 1 year. But I took a very, very, very slow start reading the beginning of the year, so it might take me closer to 2 years, but that's okay, because I really, really love the reread experience. I love this book. I thought it was spectacular. I forgot how much I liked Goblet of Fire. I still will say this, it might change by the end, but I think that this is probably one of the best plotted mystery books she's ever written. And I think that now going back and knowing the end of it, I think it's just wonderfully plotted, especially the first time you read it. There are things that, like, now, reading it now is like a reread. I'm like, oh, obviously that means that. But it is spectacular. If you have not read Harry Potter, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but I'm really, really enjoying this reread. And then the next book I read, I picked up from New York City Comic Con last year, and it's Starflight by Melissa Landers. I really, really enjoyed this book. I gave this book 5 stars. It is a science fiction, mystery, adventure novel following 2 characters who really, really hate each other, but they wind up on this epic cross-worlds adventure, and they become embroiled in a mystery, and it's like a ragtag bunch of heroes. And I really, really enjoyed not only the relationships, but also how the book was told. I also have a more comprehensive review about this in my Comic-Con 2015 wrap-up, so you guys can go check it out. The second book in the series comes out in January, and I'm so, so excited to read about it. It's called Starbound. But I really, really enjoyed this book. I gave this book 5 stars. Now, this book I actually did finish reading, and it was Daughters of Dusk by Liva Blackburn, and this is the second book in the Midnight Thief series. This book I actually finished reading after Comic-Con. The week of Comic-Con, I really didn't read anything, I'll be honest, just because I was going about, and I had to bring books for certain reasons, so this book took me like a little bit over a week to read. So I read a lot fewer books this month, and that's basically because of Comic-Con, but I really did like it once I finished it. It was a great conclusion to a series, and I really, really enjoyed it. I hope she writes more, because I really, really like her style, and the political aspects of this book definitely increased, and I really, really grew to love the main character as well, but because of Comic-Con, it took me so long to read that book, unfortunately. And then the next book that I read was Flowers on Main by Cheryl Woods. This is the second book in the Chesapeake Shore series that is also currently being filmed on Hallmark, and this follows the second sister, Bray. I wasn't a big fan of how the characters were represented in book 1, but that's just because I really love the Megan Ori representation and the Jessie Metcalf of those 2 characters. But I really did like the presentation of this character, which is the middle sister, Bray. And I loved, she's an actress, she's a playwright, and her world goes in a totally different direction. And it has to do with starting a business, and the romance was a past love coming back, which I really liked. these books always are very, very dramatic, so I needed a little bit of fluff in my life, and that's what kind of these books are. And I just needed I had literally been running around, so this was a nice break mentally from all that stuff, and I took it out of the library and I had to finish reading it. But overall, I really liked it, and I gave it 3 stars. They're really, really easy reads. I think I can read most of these books in a day if I give myself, like, a solid amount of time, because there's really no, like, it's just, like, a lot of emotional stuff and character development, but there's not really a whole lot of, like, plot. Like, overall, there's a long-term plot over all the books, kind of like the Hannah Swanson series, but they're kind of a little bit more mellow and fluffy, and I really, really like them, so I was happy to read that. And then the next book that I read was Empire Mage by Tamora Pierce, which is book 3 in the Immortal series, which is part of my Tamora Pierce reread. I did like this book a lot more than Wolfspeaker, which is book 2 in the Immortal series. I liked that this had a lot more court feeling and was a little bit more political, and I liked how the characters interacted with each other, so I really liked this book a lot better, so I gave it 3 stars, and I am very excited to read the conclusion to the series, which I am currently actually reading now. I will get to that at the end of it, but overall, it was a step up from Wolfspeaker. And then the next book I read was, as I hinted at before, I reread The Sword of Summer, which is the first book in the Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard series. This was probably one of the best. This book I needed to have reread it, so I'm very, very glad that I did, because I think if I would have went into Hammer of Thor and did not reread this, I think I would have been woefully lost. So if you're contemplating starting Hammer of Thor and you really are hazy on the details of Sword of Summer, I would reread it, because I think you're going to enjoy the experience more, and I'll get to that hopefully in November when I actually am able to complete Hammer of Thor. And then the next book that I read was another book in the Chesapeake Shores series, and this one is called Harbor Lights. And I really just felt like reading another one of the series. I knew that I was coming up on almost reaching a timeline where the Christmas books were coming, so I wanted to be able to read the Christmas ones before the holidays. So this book follows one of the oldest sons, and his name is Kevin, and he's a paramedic, and his wife suddenly passes away from combat, and he has to return home to Chesapeake Shores. And as always, there's the starting of a business, which is that of a bookseller, which if you know me at all, you know I love that. So, and there was also children involved in this one, which nothing tugs at my heart more than books that involve children and romantic entanglements. So I really, really liked this book. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I'm very excited to see what happens at Christmas time at the O'Brien household. And then the next book that I picked up was a library pick, and it is the next book in the Joanne Fuca series, and this book is The Christmas Caramel Murder. Now, this book was super short, so that was another thing. It was very, very short, but I did like it, and it also had a unique way of telling the story. It wasn't a story that was being presently told. It was a story that was being told from a time in the past, which I really liked. And there was a little bit of, it was definitely a Christmas book, but there was definitely a little bit of mystical paranormal elements included, which I liked. The mystery I did not solve, which is sometimes rare in these books. I normally can predict mysteries in this series pretty well, but I really liked it. I gave it 3 stars, and I was very, very happy to fall back into this world and see what's going on in these characters. You didn't see all the characters that you normally see, like you didn't see some of them, which I thought was kind of surprising, but maybe it was just like an abbreviated timeline. Like you didn't see one of her sisters, which I thought was kind of weird. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting, but it was definitely like an interesting way to tell the story, because it wasn't happening in the present. Hannah was telling the story to someone. But I'm very excited for the next one, and I have to really catch up on those Hallmark movies starring Allison Sweeney. And then after I completed that, I then started to read Realm of Gods by Tamora Pierce, and this is the final book in the Immortal series. I'm on page 97, and I have to get up to page 302. So I might be able to finish this before Tuesday, I hope, but we will see. And then I also was finally able to finish listening to The Magicians by Lev Grossman. The book was 22 hours, and between my trying to read and listen to the Harry Potter book and this, it just got really, really well by the wayside. So I've decided any books that are that long, I am just going to read them, and I'm not going to listen to them. So whenever I get around to reading The Magicians after I watch the TV show, then I think I'm just gonna read it. But so that was a good listen. And next I'm going to tell you guys what I hope to read in November. So I hope you guys are doing well. Let me know what you guys was your favorite book in October. I think mine was Starflight. I think that's where I'm gonna choose that. But I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later.